Good evening. Good evening. I'm Yagnesh Mittal. My enrollment number is 0801 IT 223 D09. Okay, so my topic of discussion would be for reviewing various or giving an overview about various data types available in MySql. As we know, MySql is a type of database management system in which we have various types of data types. Why we need these data types? We need these data types so that when we create a table, then we can give that each column can have a specific type of data. Okay, so that data is predefined by the help of data types. Like in C++ language, we have various type of data. Similarly, here also we have multiple types of data. So let's review them one by one. So basically, what is a data type? Let's first discuss this. An SQL data type refers to the type of data which can be stored in a column of a database table. In a column, the user can store numeric, string, binary, etc. type of data types. Okay, for example, integer data, character data, monetary data, date and time data, binary strings, and so on. The list can go on, for like a big list can go on. Okay, so while creating a database table in a database, while creating a table in the database, we need to specify two attributes. Okay, to define a table column. The first one will be the name of the column, and the second one will be the date type of the column. Okay, a database table column defines the data, whereas a database row populates the data in which that table is there. Okay, for example, if you want to store a student name in a column, then you should give the column name something like student underscore name. Okay, and when you want to give its data type, that like what would be the data type of that specific column, then we can mention something like care in curly brackets 50. So that is care 50. What does that means? That means that it can store a string of characters up to 50 characters. Okay, so like this we have various types of data which we will be seeing in ahead presentations. So the data type provides a guideline for SQL to understand what type of data is expected inside each column, and hence prevents the user from entering any unexpected or invalid data in a column. For example, if you want a column to store only integers value, so we can specify its data type in as int. Okay, SQL will show an error if another value other than integer is inserted in that particular column. So this will ensure that correct type of data is entered in each and every row. Different RDBMS supports different type of data, but here we will specifically discuss about MySQL and what are the various data types in MySQL specifically. Okay, so let's start one by one. So for example, like let's see an example. If you want to create a table, what we will do, we'll write the query will be something like this: create table, then name of the table, then the column name and the data type, comma, column name 2 and the data type, and the curly round brackets close. This will be something like the format of defining the code. Okay, so for doing that, let's see what all those data types can be which we are defining in that data. So let's move on to the next present slides. Here you can see that there are basically three types of data in MySQL. The MR first one is numeric data type, second one is date and time data types, and the third one is the string type of data, that is the string of characters or characters type of data. Okay, now let's see each type of data one by one. Let's first go to numeric type of data. Okay, so here we can see as it's written numeric. So what does that numeric means? By numeric we can clearly understand it will be able to save only numerical type of data. In numerical also we have various subtype of data. Now let's see what all MySQL supports. Okay, starting with, it includes numeric type of data includes integer, small int, decimal, and numeric. Okay, by integer the data type would be int. Okay, so in int we will SQL standard integer type integer will be typed as int. Okay, for small int, tiny int, medium int, and big int. These are also supported by MySQL standards. Okay, so if we talk about int, what does int store and why, how it is different from tiny int, medium int, and big int? Okay, so let's see them one by one. As you can see here in this table, there is tiny int, small int, medium int, and big int. So all these five are basically different type of length of data types which can be stored here. For example, in tiny int, we can only save the data of 1 byte. Okay, and the value which it can take is from 0 to 255 for unsigned values. But if you also want to include the negative values, then it can go take value from -128 to 127. But if you want to input a number which is beyond this 255, say we want to input 310, so how will we input in this tiny int? So that for that we have small int. Small int can take value from 0 to 65,535, or in negative from -32,768 to 32,767, and the size of that will be 2 byte. Similarly, we go for medium int, it will be of 3 bytes, int that will be of 4 byte, and big int it will be of 8 byte, and the respective ranges we can see from here. So depending upon our requirement, our needs, we can select individual or what type of data we want. A question can arise in our mind, why we directly don't take big int? We don't take directly big int because we also want to save the memory. Suppose we are taking a number which will take, say, marks out of 100 only. So why should we waste so much of our data memory space by taking big int? We can do the same thing by tiny int also, because since the value is marks are out of 100 only, so the value will be from 0 to 100, so that can be arranged in tiny int, that is from 0 to 255 range. So like this it will help us in saving memory. Now let's discuss about other type of data which are part of numeric. They are floating and double type of numeric data types. Floating and double basically are for storing the data which are of decimal points or of which are of floating points. A floating, here you can see there is floating m, d. This basically means that how many numbers of digits is there in that floating number, and up to what digit there is a decimal. For example, if I mention here 5 and in place of m, and I mention 2 in place of d, so that basically is telling SQL that the digit will be of total 5 digits, and up to 2 digit there will be decimal number. For example, 100.02. So this is a 5 digit number, but the first 3 are before numeric, before decimal, and 0.02 is after decimal. So like this way the decimal or the floating data types work. A floating point number that cannot be unsigned means it will only take values in positive. You can display the length m and the number of decimal in d. This is not required and will not default to 10, and will always be having a default value 10, 2. That is, up to 10 digits you can have a floating up, in which first 8 will be before decimal and last 2 will be after decimal. This is their default value, but you can also change their places, because the decimal precision can go up to 24 places for a float. The same thing goes for double also. What does double means? Double also means the same thing, but its default value is 16,4, where 16 is an total length of the variable, total length of the number, and 4 is up to what decimal that number will be. Okay, this is not required and will default to 16,4, where 4 is the number of decimal. Decimal precision in double can go up to 53. So you can see the decimal precision which was up to 24 in float has been increased to 53 in double. Real is a synonym of double only. Here it's written real, but we can also write double. Real and double are one and the same thing. Now let's move to next. Here we can see the float will take 4 bytes, whereas double will take 8 bytes. And here is the range which I have already told you. Now let's move to next slide and see fixed point data types. Now there are certain data types which are very fixed in number. For example, we want to store currency exchange rate. For example, right now USD currency exchange rate 83.34. So in order to precisely save this numeric type, we use decimal or numeric type of data. Otherwise, we can also use certain data types which can store data in floating points. Now let's move next to what all range. These all things I have already told you. By taking 5 and 2 example, the minimum value will be minus 99 999 comma 99 to plus 999 comma dot 99. So the MySQL can take both these formats. Like if you just mention decimal, then it is equivalent to m comma 0, that means no decimal value is there. And if you also mention decimal and say suppose 10, that is also equivalent to decimal 10 comma 0, that is after decimal there is no 0. Now let's see date, time and timestamp type of data type. This is the second type of data type which is available in SQL. In date, we mention via MMDD format. This is basically to store the date in a SQL database. Okay, and it can take value between 1000, that is year, 01 that is month, 01 that is date, that is 1st of January 1000 to 31st of December 9999. This huge range can be accommodated in this type of data type, in date type of data type basically. Okay, so now we want along with date the time also. So what we will do, we will take date time type of data type, which we can see here as well in this. Here I have taken, earlier I have taken the via MMDD now I am taking date time. In this I will have via MMDD, along with that I will also have time, but that time will be in hours, minutes and seconds format. So if I mention 12 December 2022, so here it will be 2022, in month it will be 12 and it will be 22 in date also. And in time, suppose I am mentioning 9 AM, so here it will be 09 in hours, minutes will be 00 and seconds will also be 00. Similarly, we also have timestamp. Here the value are converted from the current time zone to UTC, while storing and converting back from UTC to the current time zone when retrieve the data. A timestamp between January 1, 1970 to sometimes in 2037. This big range can be done the timestamping. Apart from that, we also have two other type of data types, that is time. In this we are not taking date or the whole year. In this we are only taking the time. So for example, if we write, we want to mention 9 AM and 10 minutes, 9.10 AM. So in that we will, what SQL will understand, it will understand that okay, 9 minutes and 10 seconds have already been passed. So for that we will mention 000910. That basically means 9 minutes and 10 seconds have passed. But as I have told earlier, that if you take the example of 9 AM, so we will mention 09 10 00, that is 9 hours 10 minutes 00 seconds. Similarly goes for year. Now in year we can mention a 4-digit or also a 2-digit. If we mention 4 digits, then it can take the time from 1970 to 2069, and if we take 2 digits, then too it will take from 1970 to 2069, but by the meaning of 70 to 99 it will understand 1970 to 1999, that is 1999. And if we mention from 0 to 69, then it will understand from 2000 to 2069. This is how the year takes time. The year time data type takes its values. Now coming to next, here what I have told you already, this is how the date range works and the year range works. Now coming to string type of data types. This is the third and the final type of data type in SQL. Here we have multiple types of data types like character, var character, binary, var binary, blob, text. Now let's understand one by one What is character? Character basically is a fixed length string which can have letters, numbers, special characters. The size parameter specifies the column length in the characters, which can vary from 0 to 255, and if we don't mention the size, then by default its size will be 1. Now coming to second, that is varchar. Varchar basically is a variable length string which can contains letters, number and special characters, whereas the character was a fixed length string. Here it is a variable length string and earlier it was a fixed length string. Now the size of parameter specify the maximum string length in the character, which can vary again from 0 to 65,535. Now we have binary. Binary is equals to character but stores binary byte strings. The size parameters specify the column length in bytes and the default size is 1. Now var binary. Var binary is equals to var character, and in curly bracket round brackets we have nothing to store, but it stores only binary byte strings. The size parameters specify the maximum column in length bytes. Okay, now let's see what is each and everything in this table. The things which I have explained verbally, these are all in this present in this table. Now let's see what is blob. Blob is basically is used to store the like a blob basically stands for binary large objects. When we want to store large amount of binary type of data, then we use blob. It is only available in SQL, it is not available in C++ language, and it stores binary data. Binary data basically means audio files, video files, image files, etc. Now if we talk about what are the advantages, then we have basically two type of advantages. First, we can maintain the access permission in this type of files, like which all users can access these files, which all users cannot access this file. This all can be done in blob type of data type. Now second advantage is when we take the backup of our database, then we are also able to take the backup of these files. But there are two disadvantages also for blob type of data type. The first disadvantage is the database operations in blob are limited to reading and saving only. We cannot perform update type of operations in blob type of data. And secondly, we cannot perform various operations like searching, sorting, filtering, etc. on blob type of data. Now in blob also we have four types of data. One is blob, second is tiny blob, third is medium blob, and fourth one is the long blob. It is also depending upon various length. Like if you want to save just small image, then you can use blob, you can use tiny blob. But if you want to store long videos, then you can use long blob. It can store data up to 4 GB. So here is the range for each and every type of blob. Tiny blob 255 byte, blob more than 65,000 bytes, medium blob more than 16 million bytes, and long blob will carry data of 4 GB and more. Now let's see text type of data types. These are also containing various types of text. If you want to save any type of text, then we can use text type of data type. Again here also four types of there: tiny text, text, medium text, and long text. Again the range are for this is also same as blob. So the tiny text hold a maximum length of 255 character. Instead of bytes we will have characters. Now the text will have more than 65,000 characters. Long blob will have more than more than 4 billion characters. So like this, and medium blob will have more than 16 million characters. So like this we can save the text type of data as well. Here we have seen all the types of data types available in MySql DBMS. And that was my presentation. I am Yagnesh Mittal and my enrollment number is 0801 IT 223 D09, and this is my submission for DBMS. Thank you.